I like documentaries, and I have been waiting for two documentaries. One of them, Getting Lost, the story about the making of Lost, which I know, Matt, you got
Ooh.
to earlier this year. We talked about that on last week's show. And then the other one, of course, is Going Postal, the Legacy Foretold. And it's so cool because it is now available on Amazon Rental, or you can own it. It's available on Blu-ray, and we have the two filmmakers that put this all together. We had Tad Salas and Jason Sikorsky with us on the line. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's a pleasure. Big fan of the show. It's cool coming full circle here. We had heard about you guys talking about the documentary a couple months back.
Yep.
We had both internally sent it to each other, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, this is exciting! People are excited about the film." So really cool that we can bring it full circle here, guys.
Well, it's really kind of neat because the film is such a the game and this documentary now, and of course the movie. We can't forget there was a movie that came out. It's such a Tucson kind of bred thing. You guys both went to the University of Arizona, and the roots of the company, Running with Scissors, were in Tucson. What made you guys decide or get involved in this documentary?
Jason, I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, me and Tad had met on the campus at U of A doing some kind of random type of event, giving away Clinique bottles to sorority girls. It has nothing to do with film school or anything that, we were seeking to do in our young careers.
I know what you guys were trying to do.
Yeah, it gave us an in. It was a nice.
It didn't work out. It didn't work out, but
the icebreaker though was to Tad, I guess, because we became best friends after that. We were burning in the hot sun, giving out Clinique bottles, ended up just hitting it off. We both went to film school around the same time and never met each other. And fast forward a couple of years, we end up living together. We're talking about putting together a YouTube series. And I had, sidebarred with a friend of mine, this someone I was seeing at the time, and she had mentioned that she knew someone that developed video games. And I was saying, oh, yeah, we want to make this YouTube series or some sort of mini documentary about video game development. And she's like, oh, yeah, I know this guy named Mike J with Running with Scissors. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, what games did they do? She's like, oh, Postal. I was like, Postal. Wow. Like, I saw that movie as a kid. I remember that movie and I remember that game. And I was like, there's no way these guys live in Tucson. And she's like, no, I'm like really good friends with him and you should meet him. And, sure enough, we're sitting in front of Mike J with a bowl of ramen and talking about the history of Postal. And about an hour in, we were just like, man, I remember thinking to myself, this needs to be a feature documentary. And, I know Tad, after we had met with Mike J, we kind of just decided to pick up cameras and just basically follow them for the next 5 years.
Well, doing a documentary, that's got to be a lot of fun, but it's got to be a lot of work because in your head, are you editing it while you're shooting this stuff going, okay, this will be here, this will be there? I mean, how do you put this all together? Do you edit at the end of the day? When do you do this?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, we didn't edit in our head. We were thinking, hey, let's gather as much content as we can over the course of 5 years. And then about 3 years in, we're like, okay, we should probably start the process. And that's when we realized, okay, we didn't do enough pre-production here to really plan out how we're going to edit this. And that in turn had us really kind of reconcile with like, okay, we need to go back. We need to do more interviews. We need to do some additional parts of the film. This is missing. So it was really a growing process over the course of 5 years. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, we made best friends with Mike and Vince, who are the craziest game developers you'll ever meet. And that makes a really great documentary just because they're these two underdogs in the industry that have had a lot of trials and tribulations over the course of 25 years. And we had just started when Postal 4 was really being developed. So we were kind of planning like, oh, Postal 4 is going to come out. It's going to be this like grand success. And we're going to have like a full circle moment where Postal 4 is finally like their triumph, right? And then 2022 comes out and it's worst game of 2022 by Metacritic. And we're like, how do we figure this out? But it actually ended up working out because it's really this two story of these two underdogs that really tell the tale. It's not just a story of Postal, but a story of these two guys who overcome a lot of odds, which they probably shouldn't have.
I just appreciate that you're touching on that point right there, because I mean, there are a lot of documentaries about video games. And what makes Postal and Running with Scissors special is all of the controversy that they went through. I mean, we're not talking about just local or even semi-regional. They went all the way to the US Congress. I mean, this was a game that was looked at by senators and House of Representatives and even the President of the United States saying this should not be allowed. And, going back on the freedom of speech, and into that aspect of this. So there are a lot of people out there that say they look at this game and say, why would you ever want to play this? Or why would you ever want to even be a part of this? And it's not necessarily about the content of the game, but like you said, it's about these two guys who just wanted to do something different. And that's what I appreciate about them and I appreciate about you guys.
Yeah, no, most certainly. And that was half the fun creating this documentary, was just kind of uncovering all these details and putting it together in a narrative. We were just mind blown from everything that Vince and Mike J told us. It felt like a fairy tale. And then we get the archival footage and, the old magazines and the old photos, and it starts coming to life right before you as you're editing it. And you're like, wow, this is real. And we want to tell this story to people, and hopefully they get the reaction that we did when Mike J first told us the story and saying, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, it was.
And when you talk about the story, because so many people, I remember when I was younger and this was going through and it was, national news, but you only got the story through the headlines or the clips from the C-SPAN recordings. You only got like these little bits and pieces of what's going on. So to get an actual full accounting of everything that went on, all the background information, all the trials, tribulations, the hills they had to climb with that's really something special, because this was a part of the pop culture phenomenon of video games. It is, if you watch documentaries not specifically about Postal, but about the evolution of video games, almost inevitably Postal is going to have its own little part and get mentioned, where they're like, and then there was a little game called Postal, and then it'll cut to something like a congressional hearing. But giving it its own time is that honestly is something really special.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and we really wanted to give Mike and Vince, their voice in the film too, because so much of what they said in the news back then in the 90s and the late 90s and the early 2000s was they owned that controversy, and they owned it because it helped them get more popular. But it also kind of backfired because, Grand Theft Auto came out at the same time, and they really didn't publicly start talking about all that controversy. They didn't really approve of it. Vince is saying, if you don't like my game, don't play it. Grand Theft Auto really not doing that. So Grand Theft Auto went off to become the trajectory where it is today. Postal's still around, but it's nowhere near that. So we felt like it was important for them to have a voice and to have people make their own opinions when they see the film and hear from them.
Well, you also had Grand Theft Auto had its own little bit of heyday with the hot coffee controversy, where people started to pick up on that, and they're like, well, now we have to talk about this, to the point where everyone was like, all right, Grandpa who doesn't understand how the internet or law works, yet somehow is managing both, please go sit down.
Can you remind me what that hot coffee thing was?
I was just going to ask the same thing, Jason.
There was a thing you could do in Grand Theft Auto. I think, Justin, was it 3? That was hot coffee?
San Andreas.
Yeah, San Andreas. And you could use the hot coffee code, and you could see exactly what your character was doing with all those prostitutes.
Oh boy. Oh man.
And everyone was like, well, this isn't a game, this is just pornography. And we were like,
basically was
a little bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it got pulled from the shelves too because of that, and then they rated it
Oh,
A.
they had to run a patch. It was like one of the very first patches that was ever released for a game, because before then you couldn't
change the
patch
content.
a game.
Yeah. Oh
Yep.
man.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Now-
Hillary Clinton.
Thank you, man. All right, so you put this together. You got all this footage. What would I have to ask the technical side? And I know Sean has been chomping at the bit at this one too. Like, what did you guys shoot it on? I mean, we like that kind of stuff too.
Stealing my questions, Andy.
I knew it.
Jason, is it okay if I take that one?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Cool. It was we early on we started shooting this on smaller cinema cameras like the Canon C100, and then we were using for like B camera stuff like early mirrorless cameras, Sony A7 III. the Canon 5D Mark III, Canon 5D Mark IV. So that's where we originally started. And you'll notice as you progress throughout the film that the quality starts to kind of get better and better, because we were really learning and we were getting more investments into the film as we went along. And we ended up shooting on Red. We ended up shooting on better cinema cameras, the C200, C300 Mark II. But in 2020, COVID happened, and we were like, we can't travel to the rest of the world to do all these interviews. You know, we interview Uwe Boll, we interview Friedrich Schreiber, we interviewed a ton of people throughout the world in the industry. That really deterred us from traveling, and so we had to figure out how to hire out all these camera operators throughout the world. Kind of opened my eyes to a new way of filmmaking, that you don't have to be on site as long as you have reliable people that are working with you. So coming up with, you know, the logistics of, you know, different frame rates in different countries. How do we coordinate that based on time zone? It was a challenge, but making sure everything was at least cohesive enough. We were really still trying to figure out as we went along too. So big props to our colorist, Nick Nassif, who really helped us to make everything look like it was cohesive throughout the film, because we did shoot on a bunch of different cameras, Blackmagics, Ari's, Canon Cinema Line. So kind of the full gamut. And that's one thing that I think the next project we're going to go into is we really want to start to just really have a solid idea, at least camera wise. But really, we were trying to adhere to the challenges of COVID and trying to do our best as filmmakers, because we had donors that donated to the film, and we originally wanted to hit a 2022 release. That got delayed quite a few times. But here we are today, and thankfully we've had great response from the audiences who've seen the film, that they really enjoy it.
Yeah, I was going to say, at the end of the credits, at the end, there is a large thank you screen. Was it crowdfunded as well to help, you know, reach the budget?
Yeah. Early on, we had crowdfunded through Indiegogo. So it was a successful campaign. A lot of Postal fans jumped on it. Thank you to all the Postal fans that are so patient. Obviously starting out, and when did we put up the campaign? 2020, Ted?
2021 for a 2022 release.
Right.
There we go. And fast forward 4 years later, here we are. But yeah, we're trying to release it like right around the corner from when we raised those funds. So ambitious.
Has Vince been? I mean, he's featured in it. You definitely talked to him. Has he been promoting it as well?
Yeah, I mean, he's been great, just getting the word out, asking people to buy it, rent it, helping on the back end. He helped with a lot of conversations and introducing us to the right people that can help us get the word out. So, I mean, Running with Scissors as a whole have been very supportive of the film. They've been very, very supportive in just seeing this movie getting out to the fans as much as possible and trying to see to the success of it. So that's been nice. I mean, Vince and Mike J, we owe a lot to them.
So let me ask you guys this. If you got to pick the next game or series for your next documentary, just absolutely greenlit, didn't have to fight anyone for it, what would it be?
Ooh, good question.
Are we okay answering that?
Yeah.
So our goal, our idea dream here is Duke Nukem.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. There's a lot happening in the Duke Nukem universe. Me and Jason were actually just chatting about this like an hour ago. A lot happening. They just got greenlit for a Netflix series. I know that they're making a feature film, but I think it's been in some development hell for a couple of years with John Cena attached. So I don't know if either of those are still happening, but it gives us faith that people have an interest in it. We have a good relationship with John St. John. We're actually going to approach him pretty soon. So, John, if you're seeing this, hey, we'd like to do the Duke Nukem documentary with you if you don't hear from us in the next couple of days.
John is great. We had him on the show when he started doing the cruise. He was doing these cruises, which was great. I think it was had to be before the pandemic, and it was like phenomenal. People would take the cruise just to be able to meet him. I mean, that's how big his following is. And, we got him to cut some liners for us, and so just great stuff. And, it's cool because we know some of the voice people that are behind this. Rick Hunter, who is, works over at iHeart. It's a great guy. Corey Cruz, I worked with him here in Tucson when I was at Lotus. And of course, you have John, but you were able to get them involved in it. And I asked Rick about him, and I mentioned this last week, if he's in the doc, and he said, yeah, and he had an 1800s mustache, and he thought he looked like an idiot. But it had to be cool to talk, because these are the people that give the character in the game the life. I mean, yeah, he's moving around, but that voice is what a lot of people just hang on to. And you had a chance to pick the voices and put Postal 4.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was awesome hunting down the voice actors and interviewing them and speaking with them. And when I say hunt down, we literally had to find Rick Hunter. He was very elusive and he wanted nothing to do with us. And thanks to a gentleman by the name of Jake Parr, he was able to put us in touch with Rick Hunter, which is hilarious because we were living in Tucson at the time. And this gentleman from the UK had to put us in touch with Rick, who literally at that point, I think was like 2 miles down the street from us, Tad.
Yeah, down on Oracle. Yep.
Yeah. And so we finally drove over after convincing him that we were the real deal and we're trying to put something real together. And he was great after that. But it took like a few months to get him involved. I think at a certain point we were trying to move forward without him.
Right.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah. Now, you guys, did you see the movie? Because we actually, Tech Talk Radio broadcast from the screening night of the film, which was kind of cool. I think we were the only station there, the only show that was broadcasting. But did you guys see the movie when it came out? I mean, you got this game that Postal 1, Postal 2 that created this big legacy. And then they do this movie. Yui Bowl does this. And you had a pretty good cast that was a part of the film. Zach was great in it. But were you there? I mean, did you see it?
I saw it in middle school. I think Tad saw it growing up as well. But I was a huge, I guess, Uwe Boll fan / hater growing up as a kid. You know, you're in 5th grade, 6th grade, and you think you know everything about cinema, and you watch his films, and you're like, oh, I could do better than that. I used to go on the IMDb board chats and just like talk smack all day and be one of those kids. But it was fun. I mean, till this day though, I look back and those were fun memories when you kind of like hate watch something. There we go. Postal movie.
I've got the movie on
okay.
Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it was an enjoyable experience to, there's a lot you can learn from watching
Wait,
movies
Vern
that are-
Troyer was in this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
He's in the
That was a-
documentary too. This is great.
Like
It's originally supposed to be Gary Coleman too, as Vern
Oh,
Troyer's
that's
character.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
like the new generation does not understand how they're living in like the golden age of video game inspired movies. Like they do not know like the Uwe Boll sagas that we had to get through of like, I'm going to make a Far Cry movie. And we're like, oh, how about
Please
you don't? Let's do anything but that. And not only was one Blood Rain movie made, which was one too many based on that one, there were 2 more. There were 3 of them, and they were, there's movies you can hate watch. And then there's ones where you just finish and you're like, that's time in my life I'm never getting back.
Yeah.
That is now gone forever.
Yeah.
So these new kids, like,
Yeah.
they don't understand that we had to go through movies like this, like, to be fair, kind of crap movie adaptation of it to get where we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Ted,
Arguably, Postal is the best movie in his catalog.
Out of
in
his
my opinion.
catalog, it is the best one. I will not disagree with that. It is also not the most sterling of catalogs if we're looking at it.
Now, Ted, you have you've started a company that is kind of really, it's got a good focus on video games as well. Tell us about this production company that you've created.
Yeah, Playtest Network is kind of mine and Jason's birth for video game documentaries. Eventually, we might spiral out and go into regular, filmmaking, but we found a niche that not a lot of other people are doing. You don't find a whole lot of video game documentaries, especially that are produced, mind me saying, well. And that's a part of why we took so long on this first film, because we wanted to have a foot in the door to show to other people, be like, hey, this is what we're capable of. And we wanted to do things right. So we spent $10,000 just on archival footage, just on getting the rights. I mean, we had a full legal process as we went through the whole thing. Like, we wanted to make sure that we could do it right. That's why we established Playtest Network. And hopefully it's the first of many to come. We have a lot of ideas here. Obviously, we talked about, maybe the potential next film. But there's a whole world of films, and Matt, just like you said, there's, video game films right now. We're in the golden age, Minecraft, Super Mario, like everything is blowing up. And I think it's a really good opportunity for us to kind of own that other side of documentaries and filmmaking. Yeah, and I'm just so excited what hopefully the possibilities bring.
And now that the movie's available on, it's available on Amazon rental, or you can own it, and it's available on Blu-ray. How would somebody get that? Just to go to Amazon? Is that the best way?
You can rent it or purchase it on Apple or Amazon. We have the Blu-ray available on goingpostaldoc.com. If you want to check it out, it's also available on our TikTok shop, or on if you go to Running with Scissors website as well. They also are selling the Blu-ray as well. So yeah, a couple different options. Digital is like the big thing for people right now. So obviously, but if you have a Blu-ray player, check it out.
I need to get myself a Blu-ray copy of that to go along with this.
Oh,
we'll send you guys some copies. Yeah, we'll send you guys some copies. By all means, we'd love to get some into your hands.
Now,
that'd be awesome.
I would love to make a quick little pitch for a potential. Oh, yep, there it is. Awesome. For a pitch for maybe something in the future for you guys for a documentary.
Sweet.
It's a game. It's been out for what? Gosh, I want to say. Well, I don't even know now. I don't even know. 2013, 2015, but Project Zomboid.
Oh,
The history behind Project Zomboid. It is, I think it was like a lone developer, or maybe just a very, very small team of developers, but it is a game that has been continuously improving, continuously gaining traction. More and more people are playing it. Even after all of these years, it is by far the best zombie survival game out there.
Yeah.
No way. I'm going to have to check
awesome.
that
I'm
out.
gonna have to note that down for sure.
I'm looking at Tad's, room, and no offense to you, Jason, but I'm looking at Tad's room there, and I'm seeing all of the memorabilia you have there of consoles and, the controllers. I'm thinking of you guys, if you think about that series that's on history, which is, the cars that made America, the food that made America, the video games that made America, this would be cool about the, how we had the Dreamcast, how we had, I remember playing Flight Sim when it was, on Microsoft, and you could hit a key and it would go to an Excel spreadsheet. Games have come a long way.
Or even just the part of that story, Andy, is how we almost didn't have the PlayStation.
Yeah,
because the PlayStation was originally designed for the Nintendo. And Nintendo pulled out the last minute and said, "No, we don't want this." And Sony was like, "Well, we got all this stuff here. Let's just make our own." And I gotta say, Tad, I'm noticing your back left. You got a Switch too?
I do. Yep, I sure do. What don't I have? I've never heard of Project Zomboid, which I'm surprised. But yeah, this is.
Oh wow! You can even change the lights. So, wow, jeez.
Boom. Yeah.
Making me look like
Tad
over here.
Tad Busters, and if I want to borrow a game, I just go to Tad Busters and walk out with the game. Yeah, it's only like a 5-day rental.
You just need to have like the Blockbuster logo. It just says Tad Busters.
So real quick, this might be my last question for you guys. This is one that we answered on a previous show. We went over. So I got to ask you guys. What is outside of Postal, because that's kind of a gimme for this one, but outside of Postal, what is your favorite video game, and what video game made the biggest impact on your life?
Oh man, favorite video game and one that made the biggest impact. Tad, you want to go first?
I'm gonna go simple. The game that had the biggest impact in my life was probably Galaga. Galaga, my mom, she introduced me to, and she sadly passed during the making of the film. So that always kind of inspired me to be a filmmaker. She also introduced me to filmmaking. She bought me the VHS collection of Indiana Jones, and I was obsessed with it. Oh. And so me and her would play Galaga, and we would watch the Indiana Jones films. And so I always wanted to marry the two. And then Secondly, probably the one that I guess my favorite is classic Super Mario 64. Just kind of started my gaming collection and me being a nerd from day one. Probably a second follow up was this small game called WarioWare Mega Micro Games, which was on the Game
Oh, yeah.
Boy, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
was a really stupid game, but I just have a lot of nostalgia for it, and I
do
like
too.
simple stuff.
Jason?
Yeah, I would say probably one of my favorite games that also had a pretty big impact was Doom 2. I remember my dad playing it on Windows 95, and I would just be sitting in his lap watching, and he would call them Toastmen because he would toast them. He was like, "I'm killing Toastmen, Jason." Like, cool, and sit in his lap and watch him blow up demons and kill dudes. And I remember that just was soldered in my memory of just all the blood and the noise and the music just used to freak me out, but I just couldn't stop trying to sneak into his room and watch him play. I would say one of my favorite games of all time is probably Max Payne 2.
Oh, yeah.
I just replayed that game over and over and over
It told
again.
a story, which was great.
Yeah, absolutely. I love film noir. I love anything that's more cinematic. The original Max Payne was great, but I thought the second one just took it to the next level, and the gameplay was just phenomenal.
So
Yeah.
I have an 8-year-old son right now, and I'm kind of, going off of what you're just saying there. And I hope maybe 20 years from now, he might look back and somebody asks him that question, and he might say, well, the biggest one was probably Sea of Thieves, because my dad plays Sea of Thieves all the time. And I actually hop on with him time to time. And it's funny because we'll be playing Sea of Thieves. It's a pirate game, if you don't know what that is, but you sail around on a ship as a pirate. And when I play with him, I'm actually trying to drive the boat, trying to go places, and he's just sitting there with his cat in my face, like, look at my pet cat. Look at my pet cat, Dad. Look at my pet cat. And I'm like, get it out of my face. I can't see where I'm going.
That's amazing.
But it's little things like that, like what you just said about how you're playing with your mom and you're playing with your dad, and that's what makes it perfect.
Yeah. It's about the
Yeah.
stories that you tell, the what or the nostalgia that you feel when
Yeah.
playing a game. I think Sea of what is it? Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves was kind of like the No Man's Sky when I first played it. When it first came out, it was kind of like, it was still growing, but now it's like got an entire community of
Yeah.
people. But it's about the stories that you make when you play it with the people you play it with, which
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
obviously why it's so popular even still today.
One
Yeah, I mean,
technical question I want to ask too is I had David Valdez here recently, who's done the documentary Ugly Little Monkeys, and it's being shopped around the film festivals. I know you made the debut in Phoenix at a film festival there, and we talked about the editing, and we've talked about different platforms for editing. You have Adobe, you have Final Cut, and then of course you got DaVinci, and David was talking about how great DaVinci was. We're wondering what route did you guys go when you finally said, okay, we got to edit this, we got to put it together. What was the platform you went with? Sorry, Sean, I know that would have been one of your questions.
I haven't had a chance to ask any questions. And every time I want to ask, and you ask the question I'm about to ask.
John, we'll save one for you. You get a free hall pass here.
There you go.
We chose to use Adobe Creative Suite. So After Effects, Premiere to edit the film. We originally used, getting into the nitty gritty here because I was our lead editor. We brought on a bunch of other people to help edit the film. So Jason was one of them, but we were using within Adobe Premiere team project. And that was kind of helpful at the beginning. But we had 24 terabytes of footage at the very end of filming here.
Wow.
So it was a very tough project. We had a lot of issues with Adobe throughout the editing with Adobe teams. Eventually, I think 2 years in, we just said, okay, we just need to get off that. We went to a single migrated project file. And I won't get too much into the technicalities here, but when we approached our colorist, Nick, about coloring the film, he does everything in DaVinci. So the plan was to just, there's a way to be able to take the Adobe Premiere project file and to bring it into Resolve. Because it was such a large project, even for Nick, who works on like Marvel films and big films in Hollywood, he's like, this is too big for me. I'm gonna have to rebuild the entire project file in Resolve. So he had to build the entire film, which took months over in Resolve again to be able to color it correctly, and it was months and months of hard work just to get it to that point. But he did a really good job, and definitely tiring, but that's what filmmaking is. It's learning and adjusting and making sure your crew is well fed and they're happy. But we did it on a budget, obviously, for our first film here. But no, it was a great time. Good learning experience too.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly add just about the post process. Me and Tad both work full-time jobs, and Tad runs his own business, and I work full-time in office doing something else in music entertainment. But we'd do a 9 to 5 basically, and we would get off and maybe eat or go to the gym real quick, and then I would go over to Tad Busters, and we would edit the film for like another 5-6 hours. And I would leave his house at midnight after waking up at 7 or 8 that morning and working all day. So, a lot of days were 12 to 16-hour days for 2 jobs for 2 years. Tad would continue editing a couple hours after I left because I was just tapped out. And so we did that multiple times a week for a long time, and it was exhausting and grueling.
When I first got into the business, Jason, I worked for a film company in Newport Beach, and it was all done on 35 mil. And can you imagine if you guys were doing this in 35 millimeter, how much fun that would be?
Oh man, going. We were talking about this before we started the show, but recollecting back to film school, I remember editing an experimental film on actual film and splicing it, and I remember that took like 8 hours for 1 minute. Obviously, it could have been faster if we knew what we were doing, but I can't imagine handling 35 like that. That's crazy.
Technology is
good for you. That's a very awesome experience, though.
Oh, it was good. Technology has come a long way, not only in what you guys do. This documentary you've put together, it's called Going Postal: The Legacy Foretold. It's available now, and definitely if you're a big fan of filmmaking, you're a big fan of the documentary, you're a big fan of video games, especially Postal. To see a game that was kind of a game changer. Definitely want to take a look at this one. And like I said, we've had Vince on the show, we've had Mike J on the show many times, and we're just really jazzed that you guys have been able to put together a really great documentary. How was the reception at the screening? How was that? Was that a lot of fun?
Yeah, it was really just kind of like a dream come true, because we always had this idea for a big world premiere, and we were going up against Platoon, what was it, 30th year reunion, Jason?
And Oliver Stone was there, right?
Oliver Stone was present
yeah,
too.
he was.
Literally,
I think it was 40th year. I think it came out in 85.
Yeah, and our screening was right next to him. Like literally, theater was right next to him. So we sold out with outside of Platoon. Like I think Platoon might have sold out too, but we sold out, which was amazing.
Both sold out and playing at the same time. Yeah, no, that was a great experience. Hearing people laugh in the theater, hearing people, react to certain sequences, and we didn't, I didn't realize there was a lot of moments that people found humorous, but that was my favorite reaction, is just hearing people laugh out loud. That feels really good.
Good stuff. Well, once again, I want to thank you both for coming on Tech Talk Radio, and continued success to you. And I'm hoping that we get a chance to talk again on your next project. And, we definitely have to keep in touch. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. And thanks for watching the film. We'd love to hear it. So we'd love to hear that it's been received really well. Working on it for 5 years. Thank you.
Well, hopefully you guys get to do Duke Nukem next, and we'll have you back when that comes out.
Hopefully it won't take 5 years.
Hopefully not.